Inspiration, creativity, where does it come from? How do we get it? I recently spoke to some of my coworkers at CMAC about where they find their inspiration and creative ideas. How do you get that first spark of an idea, expand upon it, and then make it into a masterpiece for everyone to see?
Yeah, I usually find ideas for videos when I'm doing something monotonous, mowing the lawn, doing the dishes, shaving my noggin.
I get a lot of my inspiration when I am out in the world, I guess. I love being out in nature. I go up to Yosemite a lot, hiking, going to the lake, that sort of stuff.
Oftentimes I'm going to sleep. Or just in the most random places. Usually I'm not trying to think of an idea or anything. But yeah, oftentimes it's when I'm trying to sleep, because sometimes I have trouble falling asleep if I'm thinking about, actual things that affect like my day to day, like what am I going to do tomorrow or what happened today.
And sometimes inspiration comes when you are not even actively thinking about it. It might be in the shower, or taking a walk, or just doing something completely mundane. It has nothing to do with the creative process, but that spark of an idea can come out of it really anywhere.
When I get inspired, I'm usually just doing the opposite thing. I'm not focusing on being creative or doing a project. I could be just waking up and I had this really crazy dream that I could use in my production or anything.
From my experience, when an idea comes and hits me, a lot of the times it's when I'm actually watching something. So being in this media field, I'm constantly watching kind of like tutorial videos or other producers on their shows. So for example, I'll be watching a podcast on YouTube, and I just kind of like analyze how their shots are, what kind of equipment they might be using.
When I usually get the inspiration to create something or to come up with something, I'm usually in my own headspace, whether it be just first thing in the morning or at some point later in the day. Sometimes it's like, that idea where you have that light bulb go off. That's kind of what I feel like when I am the most creative. And when that happens, I usually look to others for, I guess you could say, affirmation. Like, hey, I thought of this idea, I thought of this concept. What do you think?
I'm in a place to really just receive inspiration, react to my own thoughts. My brain's just kind of firing off random items until something strikes, and I pluck it out of thin air, it feels like, and that's how inspiration usually hits me, kind of like a lightning bolt in the middle of nowhere, and always when I'm not doing anything even remotely close to creating a story.
So for me, when I have a great idea, it's always either in the middle of the night or while I'm doing something else. So the first thing I do the minute I have an idea is write it down. I have to have it down, that way I won't forget it.
Yeah, I have a couple of different methods for hanging on to ideas. Typically, my phone isn't too far, so I'll either pop open the Notes app or the Voice Memos app on my phone and jot it down. I also have a bunch of these notebooks. One's kind of a daily journal, another's kind of an ideas and projects.
Writing it down really helps, especially like just to get it out of your head, and then sometimes even just like writing it down and then letting it sit for a little bit and then going back to it to read it again.
So when I think of something that I think will help me in a creative sense, usually what I do is first thing is I write it down.
So the next steps that I would take after I get inspired is immediately write it down, because if I don't write it down, I'm going to forget it the next minute and I'm just going to lose that great idea.
So when I get a creative idea, I like to try to look at the big picture. What is my goal? What is the main thing that I'm trying to achieve? And I like to jot that down, and then just on a piece of paper, write down that main idea.
So right after a really great idea comes to mind, one of the first things I have to do is I go and I get my trusty notebook, and I do it by hand. I get a pen, it's pen and paper, and I start to jot down every idea associated with this concept.
I think also you need to create a plan. Personally, I like to create lists, and I don't always follow the list, but that process of putting pen to paper, I find is very helpful.
Whatever it is that you want to produce, make sure it pertains to an interest of yours or hobby, because if it's something that you don't enjoy filming or talking about, you're not going to enjoy filming it in general. It's going to feel like work for you.
I do enjoy the creative process. I'm someone who's generally pretty quiet and reserved in a lot of situations, and so I'm in my own head a lot. So I've always been just always thinking of random things. So I just enjoy coming up with ideas and stories to tell.
My favorite part about the creative process is really seeing things come together. When you have an idea and it begins with something great and you don't know how to end it, but you eventually get there by talking it out, it's really comforting and has a sense of accomplishment when you can see that next step.
Don't let it get you down if you're starting a bunch of projects and not finishing them, because each time you start one or you plan one or you think of an idea, you're building for the next one. And it's all part of the fun too.
So my advice would be, take your time. Be patient with yourself and executing your idea, because every good thing that's worth making takes time.
Stay open-minded, stay hungry for new art inputs. Being inspired by other pieces of art is really important, and be open to collaboration. Those are the three things that I really focus on when I'm trying to work on my own ideas and collaborate with people on their ideas.
Failure is part of the creative process. So every time you fail is an opportunity to learn and improve the next time. So don't be afraid of getting that first project done. The point is to get through it and get something done. And then your next one's going to be better, and your next one's going to be better. So if you're just starting out, my advice is come up with an idea, execute on the idea, and finish it.
Psychologists say that creativity is a learned intelligence. The more you do it, the better you become. Now find inspiration to express yourself. We at CMAC are here to help you tell your story. Thank you for watching.